Nintendo's loyalty program, My Nintendo, has been with us for nearly a decade, and many people log in to claim its various rewards, gathering gold points and platinum points and offering all sorts of goodies for you to sink your hard-earned coins into. But what is Nintendo's thinking with the program? Why is it important to them, and is it really working? Let's deep dive Nintendo's loyalty program, My Nintendo. First of all, let's remember where Nintendo were as a company when the program was first rolled out to consumers back in March of 2016. This was not a happy time for the company. The Wii U had failed, the 3DS within its 6th year on the market, the Switch was the great hope rather than a surefire thing, and Nintendo's game offers were increasingly dispersed across an ever-widening selection of mobile phone apps. Whereas a console or handheld device necessitates that people return to Nintendo in order to play any kind of games using mobile phone hardware, there is absolutely no reason why any customer should naturally bounce from one Nintendo game to the next. Therefore, the partnership with Japanese mobile giant DeNA, which ultimately led to the creation of Nintendo Systems, a topic I've deep dived separately on this channel, was vital to get a robust account system in place, and My Nintendo was an offshoot of this account system. Then President Tatsumi Kimishima explained, "The hardware-software integrated business will remain the core of our game business, but we ensure that we will also expand this to include smart device activity and fuse these businesses into a synergistic whole. My Nintendo is a crucial part of this strategy as well. We seek to deepen our relationships with our consumers by having them join the My Nintendo program." As stated in the charts accompanying the launch of the program, the 3 experiences offered by My Nintendo were to be, in Nintendo's own words, enjoyable, convenient, and special offers. Basically, it would be a fun way to expand people's interaction with the game through use of rewards. It would be a convenient way for people to manage rewards from their games, and a single point of access for all kinds of Nintendo-related activity, and it would offer people particular special features. It is perhaps worth quoting Kimishima-san's presentation to shareholders to get a flavour of the original vision of the service. He said, "In Japan, we were running Club Nintendo membership services until September 30th of last year. Club Nintendo was the traditional loyalty program which provided customers with rewards as they purchased our products. This service is to be reborn as My Nintendo. While this also includes a rewards element, it is a new and much more comprehensive service. Before the start of My Nintendo services, Nintendo Company Limited started accepting Nintendo account registrations last December, which is the prerequisite to become a member of My Nintendo. As a result, we have already started to provide registrants in Japan with some My Nintendo services before its global start in March. We have been providing the Japanese Nintendo account registrants with messages which are crafted for each of them based on their profile, purchase records, and play records. As an example, we are providing information relating to add-on content for the titles that registrants already own, as well as some special offers and gifts from Nintendo Company Limited. One offer is what is called Just For You offer discounts. Since we started offering Nintendo accounts in Japan, we have been offering special discounts to all of the Nintendo registrants tailored to their individual profiles. For example, we started offering all the Nintendo account registrants a birthday special discount. Furthermore, for the registrants who have played certain games, we are offering them personalized recommendations for their next game that we believe they will like, together with a Just For You offer discount. This is one way in which we are aiming to increase the satisfaction of consumers that have a Nintendo account. We are also sending recommended for you information and some Just For You offer discount messages to consumers who have connected a Nintendo Network ID to their Wii U or Nintendo 3DS system. As you can see, the focus of My Nintendo to start with was primarily as a sales funnel and a way to maximize Nintendo's use of data for this end. By drawing together all the disparate Nintendo data sets into one space, they could better target people with advertising and promotions fitting to their interests. And after all, loyalty programs such as these do have a proven track record. Research commissioned by Payments TV suggests that 79% of consumers participated in at least one retail membership, subscription or loyalty program. 90% of customers were more likely to buy products from brands they believe they understand their buying preferences, and 77% of customers with retail subscriptions buy more products from brands they have a relationship with than from ones they don't. Familiarity generally breeds trust, even absent anything else, and so simply holding people's attention is of great value for a company like Nintendo, which want to be perceived as trustworthy and high value. Plus, there's a classic Harvard Business Review article, Quality Comes to Service, which suggests that not only are the most loyal customers the most profitable, but that with each additional year of the relationship, those customers become less costly to serve, paying more premium prices and bringing in business through referrals. Consultancy firm Accenture conducted research which concurs, suggesting that members of reward and loyalty programs would generally spend 12 to 18% more. Of course, it's difficult extrapolating from individual datasets like this to the specifics of Nintendo's business. Unlike buying soap or vegetables, people's interactions with Nintendo are far less frequent, but generally they are of higher value. Also, we must consider that Nintendo is an international corporation, and these kinds of programs are viewed differently between different markets, something that we will consider more later. For now though, let's return to 2015 and listen as Kimishima-san details the specifics of the point system and how he anticipated the rollout following. As he said at the time, also Nintendo Company Limited has already integrated the system with our Japanese website, so that as soon as our registrants have expressed interest in software introduced on the website, they can purchase the software on the spot, and the game will be downloaded onto their game system automatically. And it notes, to purchase online and download the software onto your Wii U or Nintendo 3DS system, your Nintendo account must be linked with a Nintendo Network ID. He continued, we will formally kick off My Nintendo services globally in March this year, that was 2016. Everyone who has created a Nintendo account by that time will become a My Nintendo member when My Nintendo services formally start. My Nintendo at the formal launch will start with a points-based reward system, which can be used both on dedicated systems and smart devices. My Nintendo will be a brand new and unique service from Nintendo, which has been deploying its business on dedicated game systems and will now expand its business to include apps for smart devices. My Nintendo will serve as a bridge between Nintendo experiences on both dedicated systems and smart devices. For the new rewards program, we are preparing two types of points. We will offer Platinum points when consumers can play smart device apps when they log onto Nintendo eShop or when they meet certain conditions. We will offer Gold points for digital purchase of Wii U and Nintendo 3DS games. In the case of previous Club Nintendo, we offered points or coins as a result of our memberships purchasing and registering our products. For My Nintendo, the points are gained by members not only as a result of their digital purchases, but also as a result of their activities, such as playing games and apps and interacting with information from Nintendo. You can exchange your Platinum points for a range of digital content which will be considered valuable by consumers. As for Wii U and Nintendo 3DS, you will not receive points as a result of playing the digital games, but you can earn them by logging onto Nintendo eShop. Gold points can be exchanged for discount coupons to purchase digital software for Wii U or Nintendo 3DS. By offering the two different types of points, Platinum and Gold, we will provide our consumers with two forms of value, fun and good deals. My Nintendo will officially begin with the Points Reward program, and we will expand services in the future, further enriching the overall entertainment experience Nintendo offers its fans. At the outset, we are planning to deploy My Nintendo in the 39 countries that you can see on this slide. We are planning to gradually expand the number of countries. By now, I have explained to you about My Nintendo. for the future of the Nintendo business, and in order for us to increase the contact with our consumers and expand the opportunities where they will consider the purchase of our products and services, it is important for us that as many people as possible create Nintendo accounts and in turn become My Nintendo members. So, to accompany the launch of the service, Nintendo put out their first smart device app, Miitomo. They also demonstrate the plan for the growth of their service, and what's striking is that it's linked at this point exclusively to growth in the apps. As their chart demonstrates, with steady app releases, they expect features will encourage further sign-ups to Nintendo accounts. Remember this chart because you're going to see it again. As they stated, for each app we will review and select the most appropriate payment system by taking into account the nature of each IP. But we are thinking of mainly deploying free-to-start type apps, as we hope as many people as possible among hundreds of millions of people all around the world who own smart devices will experience our apps. We are intending to significantly increase My Nintendo membership by all these measures. And it makes sense to me that they would want to focus on free offers first to get people's foot in the door of the Nintendo ecosystem. They set their target, and harnessing the expectation effect, it was an ambitious one. Kimishima-san explained, "We would like to set 100 million My Nintendo members globally as our initial milestone. Since this number should be considered as a checkpoint, we will make efforts in order to achieve this number at the earliest possible timing. We believe that the bigger the size of My Nintendo, the greater the enjoyment and value we will be able to provide to our consumers." So, how did it do? They first reviewed My Nintendo's success in the presentation closing out the 2015-16 financial year, during which period the My Nintendo service had only been active 4 weeks, and in Japan it was launched even later in the month. What's rather curious is that although they show the uptake of members increasing through this suspiciously familiar-looking graph, they don't actually attach any actual numbers to it. In fact, Kimishima-san refers to this in the following Q&A, saying, "Consumers playing Miitomo are gradually creating their own Nintendo accounts. In the graph just presented, there were no numbers, but you could see the increase in the number of My Nintendo members. Henceforth, we would think about ways for consumers with no Nintendo account to register at the same time a new application is released. We hope to increase the number of My Nintendo members in this way." It seems to me that they were using the graph purely for illustrative purposes of the kinds of expansion they aim to see. To me, the only reason for not including numbers, as far as I can see, is that the numbers themselves were derisory. And small wonder really, it was only a matter of days, and the numbers of people on casual mobile titles who would decide to sign up for an account would naturally be relatively small, and it's fair enough for Nintendo to want to shield from public view numbers that perhaps were not as impressive as they may hope, or at least which might appear comical next to their 100 million global target. Nevertheless, even if the service didn't potentially have a rocket start right out of the gate, the company did provide a steady drumbeat of apps, and some of these, notably Fire Emblem Heroes, did remarkably well. They also ensured that many major franchises were represented on mobile phones, drawing people into the account systems. However, while mobile apps were the first use of these accounts, clearly the most important utilization of them has become their integration with Nintendo Switch. Early in the Switch's life, they revamped the gold point system so that gold points are now worth 1% of the recommended retail price for packaged software and 5% for downloadable software, although the rewards are tightly limited. For one thing, unless you remember to farm your points when you buy each physical game, the points expire after 2 years. Of course, integrating the account system had other benefits in terms of their ability to keep track of gamers' tastes. For example, in March 2018, they released this intriguing graph showing the trend in weekly active users in Japan for Splatoon 2, a game which at this point had only been on the market for 9 months. In this case, their focus was on encouraging longer play sessions of a single title, i.e. ensuring long-term engagement with the Switch and its devices. Of course, This has always been something they aspire to, but particularly early on, building habits with a new system through the use of games which encourage people to return often, such as Splatoon, as well as, of course, games with huge amounts of content like Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, really ensure that the Switch was well placed to go from being a novelty to something people really love, and therefore would be well placed to catch on. At this point, the actual rewards program My Nintendo was de-emphasized in terms of importance. Splatoon players would need to register to link up to the online service and might not even check the rewards, but Nintendo could still get the data. I think this might explain why Nintendo have not significantly altered the terms of My Nintendo since then. They are getting other value from it besides using it as a sales funnel tool, and without having to push too hard, many of their players are graduating onto it. That's not to say they won't cycle back to focus on it, but I can see why it wouldn't have been their biggest priority as the Switch hit the big time. In some respects, 2016 was an early point to launch a loyalty program. These have been quite big in North America and Europe for some time, but it's only recently that they have entered the East Asian markets in a major way. Now, though, loyalty programs are going from strength to strength in the land of the rising sun. Notably, Japan as a market has been relatively late to accommodate the different kinds of spending besides cash, but the research group Research and Markets suggests that new technological integration and a focus on personalization is expected to make the Japanese loyalty programs market likely to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 9.4% from $11.79 billion in 2024 to an anticipated $16.87 billion in 2028, set against an anticipated contraction in the Japanese population. The report accounts for 4 key reasons why these loyalty programs are seeing success, and I quote from their summary. The ubiquity of loyalty programs, so loyalty programs are prevalent across various sectors including retail, hospitality and transportation. Consumers in Japan have become accustomed to earning points and rewards, making loyalty programs a crucial component of the shopping experience. Diverse program structures. Japanese loyalty programs utilize various structures including points-based systems, tiered rewards, and subscription models. This diversity allows companies to cater to consumer preferences and spending behaviors, enhancing engagement. Thirdly, integration of technology. Integrating mobile applications and digital wallets transforms loyalty programs. Consumers can easily track their points, receive personalized offers, and redeem rewards through smartphones, enhancing convenience and engagement. Fourth, focus on personalization. Brands increasingly leverage data analytics to create personalized experiences. Tailored rewards and targeted communications enhance customer satisfaction and foster deep connections between brands and consumers. Of course, loyalty schemes remain a big thing in the mobile gaming industry, an industry which is replete with all sorts of tricks and catchpennies to keep people in, from gacha mechanics which exploit that human tendency to get more addicted to variable reward propositions as opposed to predictable rewards, to features demonstrating what's called persuasive design, which is where you're encouraged to stay on the app through features like endless scrolling and autoplay. Obviously, many apps utilize these, from YouTube's autoplay feature to endless scrolling, but in mobile games, the big money is regular play, which prompts people to regularly consume advertisements. A report by 80 Level Research dived into this specifically and concluded that, as far as in-game purchases go, loyalty programs are a significant tool to increase revenue, especially if these were aimed at a specific metric that is vital for the game. While loyalty systems within games are quite different from the kind of consumer reward scheme Nintendo has initiated, the statistical evidence is even greater. Misplay's 2023 mobile gaming loyalty report showed that just over 50% of players would stay with a game because they have achievements in that game and would not want to lose progress. And actually, it showed that people who were committed to games were relatively happy with game ads. I don't know how comfortable Nintendo ever was in this space, and while they still have big apps like Pokemon Go and Fire Emblem Heroes, and occasionally still launch new titles, such as Pikmin Bloom, they seem to have backpedaled largely on their mobile ambitions, and even their reward programs are more focused on tangible rewards such as toys and other small items. I suspect they must realise that some of these more predatory, profit-maximising approaches are a bad look for a toy and entertainment company trying to build long-term positive relationships, particularly with children and families. Now, when we think of My Nintendo rewards, they tend to look very different from the competition. Not all of these rewards are abstract collections of pixels. I personally have a lovely Pikmin tea towel courtesy of Nintendo Points, while coasters, keyrings, sticker sets, posters, bags, mini guides, phone and desktop wallpapers, folders, pins, books and more can all be regularly offered through the My Nintendo program. I must admit, I assumed that these would be pre-order purchase rewards that they often allow partners like Amazon or GameStop to promote, and that they simply use the platinum points to burn off additional stock that they hadn't got around to using. However, that doesn't seem to be the case, as from what I can tell, many of these are genuine My Nintendo exclusives. And while some, like wallpapers, have basically no cost to offer, some of these have costs associated. Now, to be fair, many of these are incredibly small, so storage costs are low, and it's not like Nintendo doesn't have many places where it can burn off small items of merchandising, including its Nintendo stores in New York, Osaka, Tokyo and Kyoto, its theme parks in Osaka, California, and also soon in Florida, plus its Kyoto Nintendo Museum, and of course it has arrangements with innumerable retail outlets across the world. The specific kinds of items available on the My Nintendo store are also not quite what you might expect. Instead of generic Pikachu or Mario stuff, there are items that are very specifically tying in to recent games, including relatively niche games. How many people really want a Mario vs Donkey Kong smartphone ring or a Princess Peach Showtime document folder set? But I suspect there is a benefit for them for seeing which games have an elevated appeal for merchandise. After all, not all franchises are created equal. Japanese online shop Mecha Japan sells Japanese products across the world, and a quick survey across their Nintendo lines show there is a massive difference between the amount of stock offered in different brands. If we just look at the numbers of items listed, which may include sold out items, but nevertheless is probably going to be representative of the numbers of products on the market to at least some degree, we can see the following numbers. With 14,616 items listed, Pokemon is of course so far in the lead that I can't even make a chart because any other numbers would barely register, but check out Kirby's 1,370 items. Then we have Splatoon with 419, Zelda with 307, and Pikmin with 204. A lot of these I would suggest are functions of longevity. Pokemon has been a merchandising juggernaut for decades, and Kirby has a long history of Japanese merch, whereas Splatoon only splattered onto the scene in 2015, and although Zelda is a venerable franchise, its popularity in Japan has never been quite as strong as in the West, and it was only in the Switch era that its sales really broke through the ceiling into absolutely stratospheric numbers. Pikmin is even more obscure in game terms, and yet its 204 different items suggest that Olimar's little pals are making a pretty penny for Nintendo. By way of comparison, incidentally, there are 1,043 Dragon Quest and 300 Monster Hunter items listed, and while Mecha Japan don't offer bespoke storefronts for Mario, Fire Emblem, Xenoblade and others, a quick search suggests that there are 820 Mario products, 105 for Fire Emblem including some quite pricey figures, 298 for Animal Crossing, 24 for Metroid, and 19 for Xenoblade. So, if these numbers are even remotely indicative of what sells, why aren't Nintendo plastering Kirby all over their online stores? Because actually, they're not primarily interested in shifting merchandise, but studying engagement. Let's say they have a Paper Mario notebook which they find flies off the shelves. Now they have strong evidence for not just more Paper Mario merchandise, but also they can say to retailers, look, here are the numbers on why you should stock this Paper Mario themed item. Moreover, when they review the success of each game, while the primary numbers will always be the sales metric for the games themselves, Nintendo doesn't see itself as just a video game manufacturer, but as an entertainment giant. And so a title like Little Pikmin that sells several million copies, but that also has people so greedy for Pikmin merch that they'll go onto the Nintendo store to specifically order a Pikmin tea towel, well, that suggests a brand loyalty that you can't necessarily measure just from game sales metrics. It also matters what people are buying. Kirby doesn't just sell plushes and pencil cases, but themed watches. Splatoon shifts chairs, and Fire Emblem has some pretty pricey statuettes. These things would take a significant outlay to invest in, and while Nintendo has the resources to absorb the upfront cost if necessary, they still need some kind of business rationale to actually take the plunge. The My Nintendo store won't be their only source of information on this front, but it will be a significant one. After all, if people don't go for smaller items when they're offered basically for free, then it doesn't exactly bode well for larger items of stock. It's Nintendo's way to dip the smallest of toes into the water with a minimal impact on their balance sheet. It also allows them to try out brand partnerships which are mutually beneficial. For example, they hooked up with Black Milk Clothing to offer sweepstakes for their Tears of the Kingdom lineup of related merchandise. This, I'm sure, was a valuable cross-promotion for Black Milk just as it was for Nintendo, and so any kind of deal with other suppliers can be sweetened by allowing access to Nintendo's substantial email list and customer base. There are other advantages as well. During the early days of the Switch, the huge surge in demand was not met by a similar output in supply due to various early-stage production issues. This led to a huge groundswell in demand, and so retailers, including reportedly the My Nintendo store, tried approaches such as lottery systems, with My Nintendo members being eligible reportedly to win a system with 10 being offered each day. It's not clear to me that this has become a regular feature of the My Nintendo system, even though this remained an issue years later, in April 2020 during the first flush of the pandemic, when Japanese retailer Yamada Denki started a lottery for 130 consoles and 900 Ring Fit Adventure units. 200,000 people entered and crashed the server. On the other hand, it seems to me that Alamo is being sold now through a lottery system due to demand outstripping supply in the My Nintendo stores. Of course, there's the apocryphal quote that if the service is charged for, you pay for the product, but if the service is free, then you are the product. And to a large degree, Nintendo, like many other tech companies, is in the data business. Just as it could assiduously track the data about Splatoon 2 engagement, the amount of metadata generated by any kind of technological ecosystem like Nintendo's is staggering. From your mouse movements as you navigate the website, to the times you power up and down, to the games you're playing, and the kinds of rewards that tickle your fancy, Nintendo can build up incredibly in-depth profiles of its customer base. This has multiple benefits. For one thing, it helps them tie in with other like-minded corporations. Most companies would see the upside of partnering with Nintendo, but when Nintendo has hard data on its user base in hand, it is in a much stronger position to negotiate. It also allows their advertising focus to be that much more effective. Email lists are often highly valuable, but in Nintendo's case, they can generate personalized content as a sales funnel very easily, and some of these have a viral quality. I always like their annual emails telling me how much of which games I've played in a year. But just having data is insufficient. Nintendo needs to actually be in a position to use that data. A 1995 Harvard Business Review article states, tracking the benefits of loyalty requires new tools that go beyond traditional financial analysis. At Amex, quantifying the results of membership miles was an ongoing goal, but it wasn't easy to measure the full effect of value sharing on customers' behavior. Everyone acknowledged that customers who enrolled in the program charged more of their purchases to the card, but it wasn't until the company began tracking higher retention, incremental upgrades, and purchases of Amex products and acquisition of new customers that the true profitability was clear. Only when Amex understood these relationships did it begin to use the program more efficiently to encourage profitable consumer habits such as referrals and to discourage unprofitable habits such as attrition. There is also a very specific issue that Nintendo faces, which is the risk of people switching loyalties. It's true that the days of the console wars where Sega and Nintendo fanboys would compare boasts in school playgrounds are long gone, but video game technology is a fast-moving field, and Nintendo, better than anybody, know how fickle the consumer base can be, especially when new systems hove into view. When Nintendo talk about building long-term relationships with the consumer, it sounds motherhood and apple pie degrees of lovely, but essentially what they want is to add friction for customers transferring to different ecosystems. Why move to PlayStation when you have gold points still to use on the Switch? This activates a well-known human cognitive bias called the sunk cost fallacy. If people have 80% of the cost of a potential game already paid for with gold points, they may prefer to buy a game they don't really want as opposed to losing the points. The 80% of value is essentially gone if there's no game the consumer wants and it's never coming back. But because people instinctively don't want to write off lost value, they are liable to be prompted to actually spend even more to buy something that ultimately won't provide them with the same value. One powerful feature of rewards programs that does work very well for Nintendo is the fact that, as the aforementioned 1995 Harvard Business Review article stated, people respond well to aspirational value. To quote, "Rewards that motivate a customer to change his or her behavior have as much to do with psychology as with economics. A discount on a telephone bill does not have the same aspirational impact as exotic free travel or a hot new car. The key is offering the right choice of aspirational redemption options." Here, Nintendo's selection of stocking filler gimmicks as rewards is really a bit of a sideline, but the gold points are of tangible value towards high-value items, specifically new games or even machines. These points are still worth a tiny fraction of the value, and actually calculating the true value proposition of a game is tricky. Assuming you both activate the rewards and use them, you can mentally subtract 1% of the purchase price of any physical title and 5% off the price of any digital one, but most people don't have the time or energy to invest in trying to get the exact right combination, so inevitably the rewards don't offer quite the same value in reality as it might appear on the surface. As well as aspirational value, the report suggests that customers prefer rewards with cash value, relevance, choice, and convenience, and on these metrics, the My Nintendo program certainly ticks all these boxes. TechRadar's 2022 wrap-up of the loyalty programs for Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo gave a big thumbs up to My Nintendo above all, with journalist Reese Woods concluding, "All three have their benefits, but for me, the My Nintendo reward scheme wins out. It's simple to engage with, has a decent discount ratio with its gold points, and being able to earn physical Nintendo-themed rewards is really neat." And I think that's where the little toys and add-ons have a very special place for Nintendo. It's neat. You see, any company can offer digital features or a small amount off, but Nintendo has never primarily wanted to compete on price. Yes, by dint of being the less powerful option on the market, it usually can, but it tries to maintain the value of its products over the long term rather than letting them charge headfirst into the bargain bin. But what they want to compete on is the ability to surprise and delight. A Luigi's Mansion 2 keychain, or a Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door notebook, or a Pikmin tea towel are just cute little souvenirs. They trigger the collector mindset, and they associate Nintendo with the idea of fun, which is where the company truly wants to be. It's not so much that people remember to activate their loyalty points and shop for items, but the fact that the offer is there presents Nintendo in a different, positive and fun light. And it's for this reason that I'm not sure I would anticipate the rewards program changing too drastically in the future. In 2022, Nintendo noted that there were over 290 million Nintendo accounts, and it was specified that the accounts are held by a broad range of people, with a well-balanced range of age groups and gender, and they are becoming an important foundation of our business going forward. As it stands, Nintendo is no longer primarily in the business of trying to reach out to mobile platforms and others to find customers there, but trying to graduate its existing console, theme park and store customers over to having a Nintendo account. If their console fortunes were to suffer a sustained dip, Nintendo may of course reassess their approach, but for the time being, I think they can feel satisfied that their My Nintendo initiative has met and exceeded its 100 million initial target and has successfully linked in customers, granted them a huge amount of valuable data, and hopefully driven loyalty that will last not just within, but between console generations. Critical to the success of this program, of course, is the new Nintendo Systems Company, which I've already deep dived during the video on screen. Thanks to Robert Bocchini, who asked me to deep dive My Nintendo a couple of months ago. Thanks to my patrons for their ongoing support, and thanks to you for watching through to the end. Take care, and I will see you next time for another Nintendo Forecast.